Getting cheated on and lied to is awful. Has it happened to you? What's so confusing is that it can happen inside an otherwise successful relationship. Like, you love each other, you get along great, either you have kids or you each have kids and they all get along. There's like a family that's grown up around your relationship. Your friends even think of you as a great couple. But once deception takes place, you're lied to, once that disrespect has sort of run through and wrecked everything good that you've built, whether other people can see it or not, is there ever a way to come back from that and be happy? My letter today is from a woman I'll call Marley, and she writes, "Dear crappy childhood fairy, I'm looking for relationship advice. I've got the fairy pencil. I'm going to circle things that I want to come back to on a second reading. But let's hear what's going on in Marley's life." All right, she says, "I've been with a guy nearly 5 years, but the last 2 have been so difficult emotionally." Some background. My parents divorced when I was 6, and my dad all but left me and my younger sister. Contact was low. That opened up the door for a family friend to take advantage of me from ages 9 to 6. I think I know what you mean by take advantage. Okay. Then he died, this family friend. My relationship with my mother was very strained, but now I look back, I see she was depressed from the divorce. She let everything go to ruin. I'm 44 now, and my relationship with my mom is restored. She's no longer depressed and supports me in many ways. I totally forgive her for losing her way. My relationship with my dad is okay, but it's not often that I see him, and it's not that deep. My letter is about my current relationship, she says. I guess it's worth saying there is a 16-year age difference, but we were close friends for 12 years before we got together. Our kids, now late teens, they have kids from separate pasts, grew up together. We had many good times and lots in common and a spark. Spark is important. We got together 5 years ago, and it was so beautiful. Nobody was surprised that we got together, and we suited each other down to a T. The first 2 years were bliss. Then an old female friend of his came to visit. Dun dun. That was the week it changed. I didn't hear from him all week, so they lived separately. She didn't hear from him all week. On the 5th day of her visit, I went to a bar to watch some live music with some friends, and they walked in together, and she walked straight past me. He came over, we had some crossed words, but he walked inside to be with her. That should have been enough for me to end it. He humiliated me in front of our mutual friends and carried on drinking with her until 3 a.m. I went home and cried. To this day, he defends himself about that evening. I felt betrayed. This wasn't on the cards at all. Our relationship had been lovely. After that night, a few things happened. He deleted all the messages between them. And to this day, he says he doesn't know what they might have said or why or how they were deleted. The day she left, he and I went to a different town together. I had forgotten my phone, but he would not let me use his phone to message my daughter. He even raged in the car and said he would pull over on the motorway to stop me using his phone. Further on, I asked him to ask her to send the messages, but to call her in my company. He promised, yet he called her when I wasn't there. I found a hairband in his bedroom that wasn't mine and a huge pink fluffy towel I'd never seen before. And other small things that lead me to believe he had cheated. I was heartbroken, she says. The conversation has been going off and on for 2 years or so. To me, it's obvious, but he wants to draw a line under it. But for me, the trust is gone. I've tried so hard to fix things, but I actually feel that it's his job, not mine. We do still have good times, but they are getting thinner. I just can't get past this betrayal. 4 months after her visit, I discovered his porn addiction. Okay. That he admitted to. He said it would stop. I believe he reduced it, but it didn't stop. My spirit, my self-worth, and my confidence was broken. His too. He was once a very loving, generous, considerate man, but now he is mean and moody a lot of the time. I believe this is guilt. We were trying to move forward, but that initial spark has gone. We say that we love each other and we're so close in other ways. We've been in each other's lives for so long. We live in a small town. Can we move past this? If so, how? We talked about therapy, but he said it was too expensive. I bought your book, she says, but he fell at the first hurdle. Daily practice, he wasn't committed. He also has obvious childhood trauma, his parents' divorce, his dad's deep depression and subsequent death. He definitely hasn't healed from that. I swear he will take his secret to the grave, foregoing everything we had rather than admit that he took an opportunity to cheat. I have good friends. My work is steady and reliable, and my home with my daughter, who's 17, is a place of fun and peace. Just this part hurts. I want closure. I know you say closure means the opposite, but it all feels so undone. All right, Marley. I feel really sad about your situation. It sounds really dreadful, and I'm glad you wrote, and I do have some suggestions for you. Okay. So you've been with a guy nearly 5 years. The last 2 have been horrible because 2 years ago, that's 3 years into the relationship, it went from being wonderful to him cheating and being dishonest and humiliating you and never dealing with it. And you've stayed. So your background is your parents divorced when you were 6 and your dad basically disappeared from your life, and it opened up the door for a family friend to harm you between the ages of 9 and 16. You know what? That is no small matter. That's really hard, and you didn't say whether you'd ever had a chance to get help for that in some way, therapy, some kind of healing from that, but boy, does that do a number on you, doesn't it? The odd thing about that kind of abuse of kids is it requires so much silence. It requires so much, you get very hurt, but you must never say anything. You have to find a way to sort of like put it under the rug, be brave, have boundaries anyway, which you can't because you're a child. It really does this number on you. And so I can see how that primed you for what has happened to you in the last couple of years. So we'll get to that. Your relationship with your mom was very strained, but now you look back and you can see she was depressed from the divorce and she let everything go to ruin. And now you're 44 and your relationship with her is restored. And I'm glad, but I just want to tell you that as happy as it is that she came through and you have compassion for her, she still neglected you and still failed to protect you from what was happening. I mean, that 9 to 16 is a long time. And it's not like a great mystery that strange people will come along and harm girls of that age who are not supervised. I mean, that's how it happens, isn't it? So, the parent is either missing or checked out or both, like in the case of your 2 parents. So she's no longer depressed and she supports me in many ways. I totally forgive her for losing her way. Okay. My relationship with my dad is okay, but not often and not deep. Okay. My letter is about my current relationship. So I don't know. I don't want to psychologize too much, and I'm not a therapist, and I can't help you with the past, but I sure see the pattern of just like you're not often and not deep is how your relationship is with your dad. And gosh, try as we might. Also, the depression with your mom. Try as we might to do something different, and as good as we are at not recognizing it, we just do slip into the same pattern. Whatever we got used to tolerating as a kid, until we change, we're going to be, just designed to tolerate it as adults. So your mom wasn't paying attention to you and just like backed out on you. There was a big lie going on in your childhood of this abuse. And I'm not blaming you. Like kids have to comply. They don't even know how to handle it. But surely there were a lot of adults who had an idea something was wrong and they were not dealing with this. I just often think about this when we find out like thousands more kids were abused in some scandal, in some trafficking or church thing, or, how in the world can everybody involved with 2,000 kids not realize that that happened? Like, there's no way. There's some sort of weird spell that gets cast on people to check out, to be dishonest. I didn't see it. I can't cope with the truth. It would mean I'm a bad mom, or I'm a bad teacher, right? Or I'm a bad friend. It's the thing that we have to recover from, this ability to recognize what things are and to be in the truth about them, and not to keep finding this weird little back door where we keep sort of like going, oh, I'm up against the wall facing that something is really not good. How can I get away from this? And we run away emotionally and we come back at it like another day, another angle, and be like, you know what, I think if I were like nicer or prettier or thinner or, didn't keep giving this person a hard time, that we would get along better. You did have a very accurate insight about that. And it's that this is not for you to fix. The rupture in the relationship is something that he did, and he hasn't done anything about it. And so basically you're sitting there deciding, would it be better to just like pretend that it's a mystery and maybe I'm being too hard on him and I should just shut up, and then we can be together and I can have the good thing? Or what you're discovering now, it's like you can't have the good thing because the good thing got killed. That's the trouble. The good relationship is gone. Now, all of us, I think, have been in a situation where we held on to a subpar relationship because of survival. We needed a place to stay. We were worried about abuse, or we had nowhere to go. And, there's reasons why we do it, but I think you sound strong. You've got this peaceful home with a 17-year-old daughter. Can I just say, it would be a great service to your daughter for you to not put up with this kind of thing. Hey, I've got a quick invite for you. I made a free daily practice course that shows you 2 simple techniques to calm the storm when you're triggered inside. It's short, it's powerful, and it helps you feel clearer, more focused, and more at ease, fast. Click the second link in the description section below, or use the QR code right there, and you can start your course right away. Now, you say nobody was surprised you got together. I think I've seldom heard a situation where somebody treated their partner so badly and it started out with such good stuff. I can't help but wonder, forgive me if I'm projecting from my own experience, but when somebody has such a dramatic change, I suppose, I don't know, I'm not a therapist, it could be depression, but why do I suspect it's drinking or drugs? If it's not drinking or drugs, it's the porn. Porn is an addiction. It's an intoxicant. And personally, I drew a line. And when I, was single again after my first marriage, when I had a chance to choose again and to set my life on a new course, and I had been through the ringer with the bad choices I'd made, not just one, but many, I made a decision about a bunch of things that I could no longer do. And one of them was I didn't want to be with a guy who used porn. And I know a lot of people think it's fine, but it's not fine with me. And I had had my experience in the past with men who were really checking out on it. And it would just create this weird like zombie vibe from them whenever there was any kind of closeness. And it was weird. My mind would go into a fog about it because the fog of somebody else's addiction has this weird contagion to make it really hard to think straight. Like, what's going on here? Why is everything a lie? Why do I feel like I have to go along with a lie? It's like, because it's a lie. And I don't know, we have attachment wounds and it feels like life and death. That somehow we have to make this work and justify their behavior in our minds. Oh, he has trauma. His parents got divorced. Well, I'm not buying it. I mean, I had trauma. A lot of people have trauma, and a lot of people don't have trauma, and both of these groups can behave very badly. But somehow, I'm just going to say my read on what he did that night where he came into the bar with him, he disappears for 5 days. Some woman has come to town. He comes to the bar with her and goes and sits with her alone, no discussion with you, right in front of all the mutual friends. And then later you find her belongings in his room. Like, it did happen. But the weird thing is you stayed. Like, I know some couples do polyamory, so that's a whole different thing. That's not the arrangement you had. It wasn't okay with you. He treated you so disrespectfully and ripped you off emotionally. All that goodwill that you put into him, into the relationship with him, all that time you gave him to, come clean and work things out with you, to go to therapy, to read my book, to do whatever. You did everything a person can do. He didn't do anything. Oh, maybe he did. I don't know. You didn't describe anything. He did. And what you did there, it's not crazy, but it is common. It's common what we do when we're losing somebody. We go, well, maybe it's just trauma, and if I try to fix the trauma. But like when you fixed your trauma, did somebody do it for you? No, you got a desire. When you healed your relationship with your mother, something changed in your heart. I trust you were taking positive actions to be open to what's a way forward to heal a relationship, right? I'm sorry to say you've settled for much less. But he took a dark turn. He turned into somebody he didn't used to be. And then you say, that's when I discovered the porn addiction. So with him drinking with this woman, affairs, drinking, and porn have this funny way of intersecting, and it leads to people doing a sort of like, they flee, they escape into this fake world for a while. And I just could tell you many stories from people I've known, but I won't go into their stories. But it's an addict pattern, of just like, I'm gone for several days. I'm off using, I'm on, whatever the drug is. And then eventually things get hard and sad and the high won't work anymore and they come crawling back. But they cannot be honest because they are not willing to change, right? So if he wants to change, I'm sure he'll let you know. Sometimes it's helpful to remind yourself, like, you're not the one ending things. If he wanted to change and make things better, he could have. And if he still wants to, he can certainly let you know. But if you're asking my advice, I think moving on sounds actually quite peaceful and nice. That peace that you have at home with your daughter, what if it was your whole life and you weren't always sitting there trying to make it work with him? You just can't get past the betrayal. And I think you said it, you expressed yourself very clearly there. I cannot get past the betrayal. And you've answered your own question really there. Living with an addict, which I know too well, it takes your spirit and it just like suppresses the crap out of it. You can't quite think, you can't quite feel. There's this like buzz of anxiety going all the time that's sort of interfering with things, sort of like living under big electrical wires or something. You're never really free of it. It's always like, something's not right, something's not right, something's not right. But it's met by this survival instinct that comes from growing up with trauma that keeps arguing with your obvious observations. But it could be you, Marley. Maybe it's you. So it's not. I don't think I've ever heard such a clear-cut case. You've done everything you can. He's not willing to get help. And yes, he had trauma, but yeah, so did we. And you said, I swear he will take his secret to the grave. It sounds like it. It sounds like he's somebody who has no tools to take responsibility for what he did. And that there's a very strong impetus for him to stay away from reality. And he's willing to let his relationship with you be destroyed rather than, I'm guessing, again, forgive me if I'm projecting, but I've had this experience more than once, more than twice. My brother died of drugs and my mother died of them, and I've had two partners die of them. And so maybe I'm a little gloomy on the whole thing. People who are holding the door open to go back to their addiction cannot be honest, because then it would interfere with that nice little doorway where they can escape. So, it's not really real, because even people who wholly give themselves over to recovery sometimes relapse, and that's one thing. And sometimes people who keep the door open magically do recover. So there are exceptions to every rule. But this vibe that I'm getting off of him is, he's more committed to his secret life than he is to trying to repair things with you. And I don't mean to like push you away from him. I'm just sort of repeating to you what you said to me and what it sounds like to me. It does hurt. And so you said you want closure, and you said that closure means the opposite. So closure, it's when somebody has broken up with you and they're not talking to you anymore and you want closure. I often sort of like caution people and go, is it that you want closure, or is it that you want a reopening of the relationship? Because sometimes it's socially acceptable to say to somebody who's broken your heart, I would like closure. Can we get together and talk about it? And they'll go, oh yeah, okay. That's not considered like begging or stalking or anything that we might worry that we were coming off as. But we have to ask ourselves and be honest in that case. Do I actually want closure? Usually the best way to get closure is to let it be closed and to stop having contact, to just call it and leave and just let it go. There's nothing more to talk about. And for those of us who had trauma and with your dad gone, I'm guessing you have attachment wounds like I do. It's clean breaks are generally a lot easier to sustain than big, messy, friendy ones. This guy is not your friend. Friends don't lie to you. Friends want the best for you. Friends are willing to show up in a manner that is best for you and that lifts you up instead of making you feel ground down, small, spiritually drained, gaslit to death. So don't let that happen. Don't let that happen. Whatever you decide to do, stay strong. Stay strong for your daughter. I love that about kids. Sometimes what we can't do for ourselves, it's clearer to us that we got to do it for them. You wouldn't want her to imprint on this idea of a relationship, that a woman shuts down her spirit and her mind so that she can handle a guy who's not really with her. That's not really good. So you can do this, Marley. You have friends. You have a lovely life to go to. And I suspect you're going to find that there's great happiness waiting for you on the other side. Breaking up is hard. It triggers old wounds. Hey, it's me, and real fast, if you're watching my videos and wondering if maybe past trauma is having an effect on your life today, I want to share with you a list of signs that what you're struggling with now might be connected with neglect or abuse in your childhood. It's good to know this because it can help you know that what's hard for you right now is normal and that healing is possible. You can download my Signs of Childhood PTSD quiz by clicking the top link in the description section below or using that QR code right there. This is the time to have really good tools to work through your feelings, whether it's in therapy. You can use my daily practice, come into my membership, get into a 12-step group like Al-Anon, or I know there is a 12-step group for partners of sex addicts, which I don't know if your partner is, that's what you call it, but the behaviors are consistent with that if they were, happening a lot. It's something for you to explore and read about and bring the focus back to what's up with me that I ended up with this guy, and what's up with me that I feel like I have to somehow make it work with somebody who treated me that badly. You know that saying, I think it's Maya Angelou, right? When somebody shows you who they are, believe them. So you just gave him 2 years. Why don't the next 2 years be happy for you? Why don't you let that happen? I think I kind of like that idea. I'm sending my love to you, Marley, and to everybody here.